Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Abyss, and today we're going to be reviewing a 2006 Mage Bank Pking guide. And I know what you guys are thinking, who even PKs at Mage Bank anymore? And that's why I wanted to review it. Back in the day, Mage Bank was one of the most illustrious places to PK, especially in the deep wilderness, and this is because endgame content back in 2006 was really limited to things like Hellfight Queen and maybe KBD. There wasn't a lot that you could do, and nowadays you can go to places like raids or pet hunt or do a multitude of different things, but back then, all there really was to do was join a clan and PK once you maxed your account. So this person decided to go and make a whole guide for Mage Bank Pking and everything that it entails, from items that protect over other items to where you should stand in certain spots. And I just thought that since this guide was made so long ago, I wanted to give it a chance. I wanted to see if the author of this had anything very constructive or useful, and I really just wanted to see what has changed in the last 15 years. Mage Bank Pking is pretty much 100% team oriented, and there are so many things that you can do and so many different ways to get kills, and it really does take a different type of mechanic and skill set in order to get kills in the deep wilderness. Not only that, but in order to get kills, since there are monsters and ladders and stairs and levers and all these different places that people can tank to, you almost always need a team, which is why back then guides like this were completely necessary to get people on board. But without talking about this too much, guys, we're going to jump right into it, and I really do hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so before we get into this, I just wanted to remind you, we're going to be doing another Armadillo crossbow giveaway. If you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, of course hit that sub button, and comment down below with your username for a chance to win an ACB. We can't do AGS giveaways anymore, they're now officially below the price of a BGS, and I'm not giving no Bandos Godsword away, we only give away Armadillo items or better on this channel, so ACB giveaways from now on, and let's get into it. So if you don't know anything about the clan that posted this thread, let me give you guys a bit of a history lesson. The clan that posted this is called Echo of Silence, or EOS for short. They were a legacy clan that formed nearly 20 years ago and have recently shut their doors for the last time in 2016 or 2017. After the new MMO Albion Online came out, a large portion of their clan decided to move games, and they left their legacy behind on RuneScape for now. With that said, EOS has done a ton of different styles of PKing, from multi to free-to-play, and of course single and Mage Bank as well. At some point, EOS's Mage Bank unit actually got so good that they managed to form a group within their own clan called Infamous PKers, or IP for short, which is home to some of the most dominant hybrids throughout the years, and ended up becoming either a very big part in single PKing history or clanning overall. Alright guys, so we do have the guide pulled up right here. There's 6 parts to this guide. There's the basic information, advanced information, what to wear and what to bring, how to fight and chase, how to escape, and of course our Mage Bank team rules. Yes, back then clans actually did have rules. So for basic information, it basically says Mage Bank involves teamwork. The difference between Mage Bank Pking and World 18 Edgeville Pking is that at Mage Bank you do need to rely on your teammates' assistance when you're being tag teamed, hit by an NPC, or some other disturbance. You need to work as a team and cooperate in order to succeed and get the many whip and ARMS kills that you desire. As far as right now in 2020, this is still very true. Team PKing, or even PKing with a small group of people, is for some reason like really frowned upon, and a lot of people are really annoyed by this. They don't like that people team PK, and I really don't understand why. There's so many NPCs in the wilderness. I understand that clans can be very toxic and annoying at times, but realistically, if you run into a mob of NPCs, there is nothing that you can do to make all 20 of those monsters not hit you and hit the person that you're trying to kill. And if you think about it, the reason that all these mobs were put into certain strategic locations is because they know that this is going to be a team-oriented PKing spot, so you really do need to have those mobs there for the person to escape, and if the team is organized enough and cooperating, they can actually end up killing that person. So it does say it's completely useless to tank melee at Mage Bank unless we're fighting another clan or team. So essentially, guys, what used to happen back then is everybody would be in ARMS, and you would go and try and fight other clans, or you would try and fight smaller clans, or you would try and find solo PKers, and if another clan decided to fight back, you would pretty much all de-gear. The majority of people would get in Rune and Whip and just 1v1 fight, and then you would tally up the kills at the end to see which team ended up killing more people from the other team. And if that didn't work for some reason, you would obviously have a couple people that were in Mage, and you would try and get TBs and barrages. But for the most part, this wasn't frowned upon at all. This was just kind of the way competitive Mage Bank Pking went, and everybody really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I've participated in it, I've died in, and I've gotten kills in situations like that. Way back in the day. So it does say here, if we continue reading, it says that The reason that bringing tank is useless is because when people decide that they're going to lose a fight at Mage Bank, they're going to start running for it. That's why you need somebody on the kill that uses Ice Barrage, and then in brackets it says that Ice Blitz sucks, which it does, but even back then it was pretty acceptable for most teams. A lot of the really good teams like Aggression, for example, would not let you in if you had Ice Blitz, but the majority of teams, you know, it wasn't really that big of a deal as long as you had some way of freezing them for 15 seconds or more. Then it does say, because the target must be frozen as much as possible, or they will escape or log out, and this is very true. Then if we go down the next part, it says, when we are in a world and we are on an important kill, such as somebody in full ARMS, and you hear in TeamSpeak that we must be killing the bats, spamming the pirate hut door, killing the hill giants, etc., then you need to come and help. If we do not work as a team, we will not get as many kills. This is very true. The bats and of course the pirate hut door or the hill giants in particular are actually some of the most important. Downstairs at the stairs where the hill giants are, however, there is a secret spot that some people knew about back in the day. The one I'm showing right here on the screen, you could hit people and none of the hill giants are actually able to hit you, but for the most part this here is actually pretty accurate. If you don't work as a team, the NPC mobs or the door or whatever is going to get in the way and you're going to lose the kill. Furthermore, it says you need to trust your teammates, and if you do not agree with the setup of a Mage Bank team or someone is just flat out pissing you off, contact a Council Plus to sort it out. If you're having a hard time understanding the rules of our Mage Bank team's trips, then just ask. We'd rather you ask a basic question so that you know in the future instead of not knowing at all. Alright, that's some pretty good leadership from probably a 13 or 14-year-old that wrote this. Alright guys, now we are on part 2. It says teleblocks can vary the amount of time that your target is blocked from teleporting. The way you can tell is like this. If the target has Protect from Magic on while you cast the spell and the spell lands and it successfully hits, the target is going to be blocked from teleporting for 2.5 minutes. If they do not have Protect from Magic on when you cast a spell and it lands successfully, they will be teleblocked for 5 minutes. Now, at this point in 2020, this is pretty common sense, like everybody pretty much knows that, but I do get a lot of questions every day asking how you know if the person is teleblocked for a long period of time or a short period of time, what the difference is between a full and a half teleblock, and that's pretty much it. This guy nailed it. A full teleblock is obviously a full 5 minutes. If they have Protect from Magic on, it only lasts half that duration, which is 2.5 minutes. So even if you watch my live streams, you'll know quite often I don't even bother going after people that are only TB'd for 2.5 minutes because that's not enough time to kill somebody on a full inventory of food. Furthermore on here, he says, commonly used items that protect over an Abyssal Whip, a Carol's Crossbow, that's correct. Any Torag's item that is incorrect, a Torag Helm will not protect over a whip. Any Guthan item, once again, incorrect. Same with Varax and Darox as well. None of these Barrows helmets will protect over an Abyssal Whip, even back then, even now, and at any point. The weapons, the plate bodies, and the plate legs all did. Dragon Battle Axe does protect over, so does a Dragon Halberd, Dragon Plate Legs, Dragon Square Shield, Dragon Chain Body, and Amulet of Fury. A lot of people didn't know this, but back in the day, actually a Mystic Top also protected over, and many Abyssal Whips were lost. That's why in some of these old PK videos, you'll see the smarter PKers are all running around with a split bark top. It was pretty common to see people with Mystic Tops back then using a whip, and then eventually a lot of people started to realize that a Mystic Top is only worth like 110, 120k, and they would go and buy a whole bunch of them, and then just pretty much die to people that had whips and then try and kill them after. Seeing as a whip was, you know, over 4 to 5 mil at some points, and of course the Mystic Tops would cost you not even 500k, you would very easily be able to profit using this method. And if you ran into somebody who had a Mystic Top and a whip, usually since they were using Mystic, they didn't have good tank gear, so they would only have like maybe Rune or D'hide, and it was very easy to kill them and get their whip if you were out PKing with a team. Alright guys, here we are at section 3, what and where to bring certain items. He says, I'm going to start out by saying, do not bring items that you're not prepared to lose. Also, don't bring shit gear to Mage Bank. It wastes your time, the team's time, makes everyone look bad, and it makes you look really bad. Then he says, before I show you what to wear, you need to understand the different types of combat classes that you can choose from. And then he says the most effective way to get kills and beat people in Mage Bank fights is to use Mage Melee as a combo hybrid setup. Then he says the most profitable choice to be in is Mage Melee as well, and in order to use it, you need to know what you're doing. Then he says, for information regarding this, please see the next step of the guide. Then Then he also says, I would also like to point out that this is basic attire, and if you want to upgrade your gear to like Carol's or Aram's, or even use a warrior ring instead of a ring of recoil, that is your choice. It will help you PK and get more kills, but if you're afraid to risk that type of money, then don't bother. Now, this is actually very true. Nowadays, you're going to see a lot of people using things like Armadillo Crossbow or Ballista when they're PKing, especially with a team, but back then, you really only brought 2 combat styles, and the reason for that was inventory space was limited. We didn't have things like room pouches and whatnot, but also the amount of what you could use was very limited. There wasn't Armadillo Crossbows or Ballistas back then, no Dragon Bolts, no Rigor, none of that stuff, so using melee was extremely strong compared to range. If somebody was using range, they would most likely be using a Carol's Crossbow or a Magic Shortbow, and they didn't even have Amethyst arrows back then or anything of the sort. They were really just using rune arrows, and I don't even know the max hit back then. It was probably like a 23 or 24, where you could be using a whip instead and be hitting in the high 30s. So all in all, melee was busted back then. Range was severely underpowered, which is why you're seeing so many buffs over the years to come. But back then, you definitely wanted to have at least 2 styles, because when you're Mage Bank Pking in 2005, 2006, nobody was really switching their prayers, and it was extremely easy for you to just get a kill based on having 2 styles alone. And here we are, guys, finally at the setups portion of the video. This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of the guide. I think that not only is this adorable, but it's amazing that somebody actually put all this effort in. So the melee portion, he says melee's good to have as a defense against other melee and range attacks and mage attacks. So make sure that you have a good way to defend yourself from all 3 attacks. Here is the basic melee attire. And I'm going to be honest, this is pretty spot on. You could obviously use Super Restores and Ceradome and Bruise, but if you're going for straight melee, this is pretty much it. You know, you could include a Rune Kite and maybe, you know, like a Super Energy or something to increase your run, like Purple Sweets. But yeah, this is pretty solid as far as melee goes. Alright guys, now we're on to the portion of Tank Rangers. It says, Rangers need to be able to defend themselves from whips and daggers. They hit very high on Rangers, even when you have pre-melee on. It's also best for Rangers to be able to shoot arrows from a long distance, so that the Super Energy Potion will be to your benefit. Make sure that you have Rune Legs to give some extra defense. Avoid tank ranging at our Mage Bank trips, unless we have tons of people and you just want to have some fun and hit the 25-25 spec. Personally, I would use a Torag Helm for ranging, but since I lost mine at the portals, I can't use that in the picture. So here is the basic range attire. And I'm gonna be honest, I mean, like, for a 2006 setup, that's not that bad. But all in all, I mean, if you're gonna bring a dagger, you should probably bring like some pots as well. And I mean, the poor guy lost his Torag Helm, but yeah, if you're going to be using this setup or any setup, you should always make sure that your +1 is a pretty good item if you're going to use Protect from item. So Torag Helm, Torag Legs, anything like that. This guy had the right idea, but unfortunately his Torag Helm just, well, it's not his Torag Helm anymore. He lost it at portals. Now this is looking old school. Magic. The magic portion says autocasters might be a good choice now that the new prayers came out. This must have been like right after Eagle Eye and Mystic Might came out in like 2005 or 6. That's probably around the time that this guide came out. Then it says magic users need to know how to defend themselves and use their landscape to their advantage, such as rocks or skeletons to hide behind and wall off your target. He said that you can switch to the Rune Kite for some extra defense, and that Dragon Hide is in case another mage is ripping you. Here's some basic attire. So this is just so cute, man. Like, look at this. He has a DDS, but he has no super pots. He has a magic pot and a super defense. Like, this guy is just adorable, man. Whoever wrote this he's probably like the cutest kid, bro. He's probably like 13 or 14, just thinking he's like the best PKer ever. And I'm gonna be honest, like, for the times, for 2006, like, this year was way above me in 2006, 100%. This guide was amazing. Like, this guy did a great job. This guy, like, I would not have been able to create this topic. In 2006, I was like 11. And although I may be out there like fighting people and stuff, there's no way I could have created this. This is top tier. Like, this is top tier back then. This is like equivalent to like one of these YouTubers that's creating videos with hundreds of thousands of views, like showing like quest guides or something. Like, this is the YouTubers or like that type of level of explanation, but back then. Now this is my favorite setup of all, the OG split bark top mystic bottom setup. Mage melee hybrids are the most effective PKers at Mage Bank, and they will get the most kills and the most action. To be a good mage melee hybrid, you will need to have the right equipment and know what you are doing if you are being beaten and how you can beat your target. It says here is the basic mage melee attire. So if you take a look at this, we got once again the OG setup. We have the split bark top mystic bottom. We even have the wizard boots in there. the Zami Cape Berserker Helm, and of course the Unholy Book. The inventory, in my opinion, I mean, like I said, I keep saying this, you can use brews and restores, but obviously back then, like the game once again is like literally has only been out for like 2 years at this point, so there's really not a lot that people know, and plus everyone is little kids, like everyone's like probably like 14, 15, 12, 10 even, and like, you know, a lot of people just don't know the right setups or like what you can even use or how to even use things properly. So of course this year is probably the best of the best. I still don't understand why people aren't using the super energies though, man. It just hurts my soul to think about people walking. But this year, it just looks so elegant. It's so nostalgic. I love this setup. I love the way that the inventory and the interfaces used to look. I love that the attack bonuses and defense bonuses are listed down below. It's just so nostalgic. I didn't even remember that that was a thing until I made this video. But yeah, this is it, man. This is the mage and melee hybrid setup. This is like the ancestral of 2006. Alright guys, now we got the Range Mage Hybrid. He says, Range Mage Hybrid is fun to use, but it's not as effective as Mage Melee in most situations. He says, a lot of the times people don't be expecting to be getting hit rapid 20s, and in some cases it can be good. And then he says, it's much easier to hybrid this because it requires less clicking and you don't have to be up close to your opponent. Then he says, the split bark legs in this picture will make you look like Dommark, but that's fine. So if you don't know who Dommark is, Dommark44, that's another old school PKer. I have no idea why he felt the need to include that in there, but okay. Then he says, because they're better than Mystic Bottoms, they give a little bit of defense bonus in case your target gets close up. I mean, I'm not going to talk. This setup is, in my opinion, kind of newbie given what we know now, but it does look funny, and I guess he looks like Dommark. Shout out Dommark. Now finally, one of the best setups of all, the Melee Range Hybrid, says this is the most annoying type of target for a mage or hybrid to take on. The melee range combination is used a lot from many people in many clans. It is nearly the same as melee tank, but when you get frozen by your target and they step back and continue hitting you, you can pull out the bow and retaliate from a distance so that you don't get completely ripped. Here is a good basic melee range attire picture, and this is true. I mean, like, this is pretty solid. I would include a range pot personally. I don't know why he didn't think to include a range pot, but I mean, realistically, for back then, this is as good as it gets. Like, there's no crossbows or anything, so this year, like, this is pretty solid. He will probably beat anybody in a 1v1 using this setup. Now, this is one of the most important setups of all. It says the teleblocker is pretty much the most important part of the team. Without the teleblocker, we would pretty much get no kills at all. In order to be a good teleblocker, you need to be paying attention and you need to be able to know what the hell you're doing. When you teleblock, make sure that you are up there and ready to teleblock anyone you can on the other team so that we can kill them. Remember that teleblockers only make good money when they do their jobs right so that we can get the kill. Look at the enthusiasm. Teleblockers are for teleblocking. Keep that in mind, that our teleblockers do not do the fighting, just the teleblocking and the entangling. A good teleblocker outfit includes a dragon simi that is used to cut the magic protection prayer down so that you can get a full teleblock instead of a halved one. Now this is so true. So many people think that a teleblocker is like some bitch roll or like a slave or something like that, and it's not true. The teleblocker is literally the most important part of the team. A good teleblocker is usually your best PKer in terms of awareness. Every single time I was clanning and we were hitting another team or we were trying to lure or bait another team far away from certain places that they would be able to escape, I in fact would like myself to be in TBs or our best members or the best PKers because they have so much more awareness or so much more availability to know what's going on, and everybody's so concerned with being the person that gets the kill. Being a teleblocker is a true show of teamwork and sportsmanship, knowing that you're not going in this to get the kill, but you're doing this to benefit the team, benefit your friends, and obviously put numbers on the board. So this is so true. This setup, on the other hand, he is actually very smart. He has the super combat attack, or sorry, the super attack potion. There's no super combats back then. Super attack potion, which is super beneficial because you're going to be able to de-skim that prayer down with a higher attack level. Not sure why he's got the mystic gloves. You definitely want to have barrel gloves, but I mean, this is a pretty solid setup. There were no actually, I think defenders were out back then, so usually you would bring a defender and then obviously a staff as well, but other than that, this is a pretty solid setup. So for a basic setup, this is pretty good. But yeah, overall, I mean, he pretty much nailed it. In 2006, this guy here nailed it better than the majority of clans and PKers nowadays. The teleblocker's job is utility. He's like a support if you're playing another game and, you know, like a MOBA or like Overwatch or League of Legends. He is like a support. His job is utility, and that's it. He's not meant to be fighting or killing anyone. It's not his job. His job is to provide utility so that the other people can get kills. Alright guys, now we have a big wall of text, and I want to analyze this as somebody who's Mage Bank PK'd for like a long time. I just want to see how well this guy knew his stuff back in the day, and I'm really hoping that he impresses me. I think he's going to. It says, in order to PK at Mage Bank, you need to know what you're doing. Having the shit to do it is not enough. You need to know what you're doing and what is going around you and who you are fighting. This is true. That's actually very true. It's definitely a mind game. It's definitely knowing your surroundings more than just who you're fighting and how you're going to kill them. Then it says, you need to know when to pot and when to barrage, when to eat and when to run. And this is true. Sometimes you're fighting somebody, you have 5 food. You need to make sure that you're running when you still have enough food to get away. That there is just pretty basic, but like a lot of people stay until they're absolutely out, and that's how they end up dying. Then it says, as I've said earlier, Mage Bank Pking is a team effort and you need to cooperate with each other. If you see a teammate who needs help, you need to make sure that you have their back. Try not to let the other team tag off your friends and avoid preying on 1v1 fights as much as possible. Unless they tag team, in which case you should do it immediately. Also, pray from one-itemers every time, because praying one-on-one will result in them praying one-on-one and make your fight potentially harder. Then it says, this is our routine. The teleblockers will hop on each world and find people to fight. Everyone else just stays logged out and waits for the teleblocker to find a world, in which they will say, hey guys, I have a 124 combat guy in world 48, load it up, and then you will load up the world. This means that you will get to the login screen, type in your username and password, listen carefully in TeamSpeak for directions. Do not log in unless you hear that the teleblocker has confirmed that the target has been teleblocked. If you log in early, the target will be frightened and run for it, or maybe go to the lever before they get teleblocked. You do not want to break this rule. If you do this too often, you will not be invited to many Mage Bank trips, I can guarantee it. This guy's like a mob boss, man. Then he says, once you log in, attack the target if you can. If somebody else is on them, you have to follow them and be ready to freeze them in case he or she gets walled or something attacks the person on the kill. Then it says, when the target runs towards the pirate hut, they will have to run through the giant bats, and you must keep the bats away from the attacker as well as you can. This is true. Like, this is like basic stuff that has evolved even to today. This is all pretty accurate. To protect our attacker from losing grasp of the kill. Then it says, if they make it to the pirate hut, you need to go inside and wait by the door. A good strategy to prevent the target from getting inside the pirate hut is to spam the door. Please do not start spamming until the target is right next to the door, because it is futile that they do not get inside. If they do manage to get in, then you need to form a death dot and be ready to attack the target with smite on, freezing them in place. While in the death dot, do not kill the pirates because they will respawn and might go for the attacker or take the target. I am beyond amazed that this guy, this is the first time I read this, I am beyond amazed that this guy was able to know and understand this so fluently. I've been PKing for I was around in this guy's era, and I'm not even kidding you. There are people that I've been PKing with for 5 years that still don't understand this, and they're like 25 years old. Alright guys, now we have a diagram, and the guy's trying to basically explain what to do and where to stand in certain situations. So the green dot will represent a death dot and where you need to stand. So if you take a look here, there's 2 main spots of where you're supposed to go and where you're supposed to tank to. So obviously if somebody gets TB'd at Mage Arena or the Mage Bank lever, what they do is they run through the bats, and then they have 2 choices of where they can tank at. One is the Pirate's Hideout and one is the Hill Giant Dungeon. So essentially if you go to the Pirate's Hideout, you're going to have 2 options. You can go in and out of the door and try and throw the person off and run away, or you can try and survive as long as you can, hoping that you get a pirate to attack you inside. So what he's doing here is he's circling the outside area of the pirate hut, and he's showing that you need to stand at this spot to make sure that if the person tries to sneak out, that he is going to be frozen. He's also showing a spot that all the members inside the pirate hut should stand, so that if somebody decides to try and tank inside instead of using the second method, which would be running away, that everybody is in a DD, which means that the people that are on top of it that aren't being attacked aren't going to be piled by pirates as well. Then of course there's another spot that shows the dungeon area, and this spot here is obviously pretty simple. If someone's TB, they're going to go up and down the stairs, and so what they will be doing is trying to eventually run away and make a break for it when they're out of supplies, and he's saying that you need to stand on the outside area of the dungeon so that that person makes it through the entrance, you can freeze them immediately. Alright guys, now we have a bit of advice on how to escape. It says, this is as important to master as it is to fight. When you're being outnumbered and you have a team chasing you, so you're the person being hunted, You need to know what you're going to do and where to go. It says, to be honest, I'm good at escaping. I've been running from clans at Mage Bank since 70 combat. I've also been soloing Mage Bank when I was only going for with one or two people for a long time. And I've been clanless until I met EOS. Then he says, I know the routes, etc., and I've never even used a Cerebrew to escape before, not ever. So he's pretty cocky. I'll be honest, kind of like me. This guy reminds me of myself. He's a young tank. All right, and then he goes, here are the basic steps to escaping. He says, know when you're outnumbered, know when you need to bank, and how to get there safely. Know where to go, know what to put on, know what are the right prayers to use, and watch for your health and prayer. Then it says, alert everyone in TeamSpeak and IRC that you need help. So these are all actually very fundamental things that are still used today. Then he says, this is what you need to know. If you're being teleblocked and need to run for safety, do not run east or south of Mage Bank. This is so true. This guy is a genius. Then he says, those are open areas and there are barely NPCs there that can help you and nothing to wall your enemies off, so it's pathically easy for them to kill you. Then he says, you should try and run straight to the Pirate's Hut when you get in. This will give us time to get ready and get you out of there, and we can help you run to the Hill Giants to escape. Then it says, at the Pirate's Hut, you will try and run around like a moron, and the pirates should attack your enemies, so you might be able to log out. Then it says, don't panic, you can escape. If you panic, you will likely forget to eat or drink a prayer pot, and could end up losing more than you would expect. If worse comes to worse and you have no chance of escaping, drop your items. This guy's toxic. Drop your items so that somebody on our team can loot them for you. But I highly recommend that you do not give up. I've escaped on 18 health, no prayer, with a whip and arms before. It is possible. Bro, I like this guy. I don't know who this guy is. Like, I've never met him, but like, I like this guy. Then he says, here's a screenshot of some good places in Hill Giants to try and log out, because it often walls the NPCs so that you can stay out of combat. Okay, so he's circled a couple areas here. We got some by the Fire Giants. He says that they're level 93, which is not true. Then there's the Shadow Spiders, which are level 49, the Chaos Dwarves, obviously a couple ladders, and if you checked earlier in the video, I mentioned that there was a certain spot downstairs by the Hill Giants. He circled it, a spot that the NPCs won't be able to hit you. So essentially what he's saying, guys, is if you get TB'd, go inside the Pirate Hut and beg your team to come and help you. If they come, you can try and maneuver outside and either box one of them. If not, run to the Hill Giants and you can try and get some safety there. But you need to use that pirate area to stall. But nowadays it's not as important, but you know, back then it was. Then it says, learn to escape and fight, because both of these are very significant aspects to being a successful PKer. This is very true though. This is extremely accurate in my opinion. Extremely accurate. 2 parts of being a PKer. One is getting kills and one is knowing your surroundings and knowing how to escape situations. Finally, guys, we have the Mage Bank and team rules. It says, don't spam in TeamSpeak, don't log in too early, wait for the target to be teleblocked. It says, if you have people added from other teams, turn your private chat off. Don't have your private chat on, ever. Then it says, no kill ganking. Let the original attacker keep on the kill. You only step in when it's an interference that has caused them to misclick or get off the target unsanctioned. And then it says, work as a team, respect each other, don't flame each other, and have fun. And then it says, I hope this guide has been found useful and that some of the newer Mage Bank PKers will have an easier and more enjoyable time PKing with us. That's down at the bottom. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is pretty amazing. This is some pretty great stuff. I'm really surprised to see that somebody was able to pull this out and actually create something that is useful. I really expected there to be a whole lot of discrepancies in here, a whole lot of things that just weren't accurate or that just were so like just out of the norm. Like, why would you even say that, given it 15 years? But realistically, guys, this is all like accurate and it's still pretty relevant. Like everything that I'm reading here from August 28th, 2006 from Mr. Blackfire 327, I gotta be honest, guys, this is accurate. Like, this is some good stuff. And the majority of this stuff can still be applied today. If anything, I think that this is actually some pretty good and useful information. So I'm going to leave a link to this guide down in the description. So if you guys want to check it out, use it for any reason, it's available. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't make videos like this too often. I'm still trying to get good at commentating them. I try and, you know, make as much content as I can to bring some light to the old school style of PKing. It's something I'm super passionate about, and I'm sure you guys can tell that by now if you made it this far. All in all as well, guys, if you did make it this far, I just want to say thank you. I know this was a long video, and I'll catch you in the next one with some more PKing content.